we had a crazy 48 hours this weekend.
Insane.
Man. Crazy 48 hours. For you, those of you who do not know, President Trump has confirmed the U.S. attack on a location in Iran.
Three locations.
It is 3 locations. Okay, I thought it was 1 location. 3 locations in Iran believed to be holding nuclear weapons. So before we get into the episode, I wanted to, pick your brain about what you heard about that. How do you feel about the decision to go into and, again, U.S. making themselves a part of foreign policy, foreign antics, whatever you want to call it. And how do you think this is going to shape the world going forward, not just the U.S., but the world going forward?
It's just crazy how it's like just a repeat of I feel like in the last 25 years, this was the same thing.
Yeah.
We go to the Middle East because we think they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. We jump into a war that's already there.
Yeah.
We had Clinton with Saddam Hussein, that bled into Bush. Bush also did it with 9/11 in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Obama with Syria to an extent, and also kept Iraq and Afghanistan going on and on and on. But this one's a lot different to me because I think people are now kind of able to see sort of the puppeteers behind it because they've been saying Iran been building nukes for 30 years.
30 years almost.
I feel like when we were kids, they were saying the same thing on TV. Mm-hmm. But as y'all may or may not know, a lot of this stuff has been a Israeli-backed thing. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that struck first. Mm-hmm. The U.S. just struck 3 nuclear facilities in Iran over the weekend. It's just crazy, man. We have friends in active military, so I want to give our hearts out to them. Yeah. I want to speak to the people in Iran, the civilians. I really feel horrible for them because this is something they had they didn't want to be involved in this stuff, and I hate that for them people.
Schools are closed, all public. They're not allowing anybody. They're not allowing. I'm misspoken. They are telling people, hey, you shouldn't be in these public spaces anymore for your safety concerns. And so it not just affects, the soldiers and the politics, it affects the civilians there.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
And Iran is a pretty developed place. I know the media might portray it to you a certain way, but it's a developed place. They have full cities, they have full subway systems, they have highways, stuff like that. A lot of stuff that people use every day that are now being under attack, they're getting bombed. Some people are trapped in their city because all the highways and roads out are so clogged or have been destroyed. So it's horrible. It's really horrible. It's a shame that the U.S. has been dragged into another war. Yeah. Trump, no new wars guy, is starting in a new war now. So it's just horrible. It's horrible. It's definitely horrible.
So I heard today, doing a little more research, I believe in 2019, was it that Trump also attacked Iran before? This isn't the first time that we...
I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. Aiden can pull up the research for us on that one. But I wouldn't be surprised. It sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, so...
But so much has happened between 2019 and now.
I know, right?
It's 10 years ago, basically.
Yeah, so from my research, 2019, Trump also... I gave the go for a prior attack on Iran back in 2019. And this is almost like a continuation of that, and also from my research, it's kind of interesting to know that at one point, Iran was an ally of ours back, I believe World War I, I believe it was. Around that time, they were actually an ally.
Probably World War II. World War II. One was like the Ottoman Empire. They were on the side of Germany.
Yeah, so it was World War I, World War II, one of those times.
So Iran is a pretty interesting history with the U.S. Because we've destabilized them now twice. This might be the third time going into it.
It was twice.
Yeah, so we've destabilized them literally twice, which basically means they had a leader in charge. We didn't like the leader in charge. We sent people in. We spared dissent among the population. The leader gets overthrown, and then the person that gets installed is somebody that we can control. Yeah. But as we know how people are, you can't control somebody only for so long. So the next person takes over. They do what they want to do. The U.S. is like, I don't like that very much. We do the same thing again. So if you ever read, it's a book called Persepolis. It's like a graphic novel, but it's about a woman that's from Iran wrote it. She lived there during the 70s, one of these big revolutions. And she talks about how the country was and how it became what it ended up becoming after the fact. And it's a really interesting story about sort of living through a coup and stuff like that. But yeah, it's unfortunate that these countries, they want to establish themselves in the international community, but people like the U.S., Israel, the U.K.'s done this, France has done this. They destabilize. They cut the legs off from underneath them. We see it in Africa all the time. and the Middle East mainly. Those two are the ones we see it all the time. I mean, it's really unfortunate. And then this nuclear deal that Iran was a part of that Trump basically ripped up, they had agreed to only use the uranium for like power plants and for like nuclear, like scientific research, basically.
Yeah.
They had been abiding by that the entire time, but for some reason, people were swayed to destroy the agreement and basically accuse them of trying to build nuclear weapons, which they've been accused of for decades, and they've never been proof of them doing that. And it's a shame because like they've tried to renegotiate it, but the diplomats that were going to the table to renegotiate it were literally, I'll just say, taken out of the game. I won't say the word I want to say.
I know.
They were taken out of the game, and there were also nuclear scientists, Iranian nuclear scientists, who were taken out of the game by certain people because they don't want this thing to go through. They want to have a reason to convince people like you and me that, oh, this is justified because they have X, Y, and Z, which they probably don't. And we've seen this before with Iraq, right? There weren't any nuclear missiles there.
Exactly. So how do you think this is going to affect the rest of the world? What do you think the next steps are? What do you think the reaction is going to be?
Negative, for sure. Because I think the rest of the world can kind of tell what's going on, and that this is sort of Israel's play to destabilize the Middle East even more. So I don't know if it'd be World War III starting, because I don't think that's ever going to happen.
That's what people are saying. It's trending towards.
I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen. I think there's too much at stake for the rest of the world.
Globally, yeah.
Yeah. It depends how aggressive the USA is with this. If there's boots on the ground at some point soon, then we'll see a big shift in the international community. In what way, I don't know. But I am afraid of that.
So as of the time of this recording, President Trump did state that he is ready for another chance at negotiation with Iran. Do you think?
I think it's kind of too late for that now. You already... We spoke about this before off the camera. Like, you can beat people down so long. Eventually they won't want to negotiate anymore. They've tried to negotiate. There was an Iranian diplomat who was lured to a place to negotiate, and he did not make it out of that place after the fact. And that was a negotiation with the U.S. and Israel. So at this point in time, when you've done so much to these people, you've taken people out of the game, you take people out that want to negotiate. The people that are left will say, no, I'd rather lose than negotiate to you. I'd rather you do more damage than negotiate. So we'll see how it goes.
So how do you think, what do you think is going on in China's head, Russia's head, North Korea, South Korea? Do you think there's going to be any retaliation on their end, or do you think it's going to start a domino effect for these other places to try and go and maybe take over an area? They're like, hey, this is an opening we see.
Russia, no. Russia's still, and it has a Ukraine thing going on. They're so spread thin with that. No. It depends how China approaches this, because they might not, openly do it, but there's definitely going to be some calls that are made that China might call the Iranian president and say, hey, look, we can't back you on paper, but we might sprinkle in some tanks here and there for you, some weapons here and there for you. We might even send over some contractors that'll help you, that'll come help train your guys up or back your guys with bodies. I mean,
they might not actually physically, aid in the war.
They'll make it a proxy though.
Exactly, a proxy war.
And then once they're doing that, they'll turn around and in some economic way they'll benefit from this, I'm sure. So yeah. I'm sure it'll be some back end deal that says, you got oil there, so if we back you on this one, we're not going to bully you, but on the back end, help us out with the barrels of this and that.
And I think that's not the crazy part about it, but it's all over oil,
and power. Like power, it's power and oil.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because the only reason the U.S. wants to restrict the use of nuclear weaponry for everybody else is that it's a power thing. Yeah. Unfortunately, there is a country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons that aren't being regulated or inspected often. There is a country over there that is audited. There you go. That has all that stuff that can destabilize the entire region if they wanted to. But unfortunately, certain people do their bidding, so that's where we are. Yeah. But like I said, this will be probably another proxy war of some kind, where you just, if I'm Russia or China or whoever, I just try to bleed U.S. dry a little bit on this thing, make them string this thing out, make them look bad, so that the rest of the international community when we come to the table with our deal, they'll be want to take ours.
So before we move forward, I just want to give my condolences and prayers out to all the soldiers and the civilians that are being affected by this today. This is saddening times, and only thing that I can hope for is the best to come out of here for all parties.
Just the least amount of destruction possible.
Exactly.
The light.